What is going on, YouTubers? It is referee Rob Jackson back with another video today. Of course, we're here with part 3 of the entire history of FNaF by FuhNaff. So thank you, John, for making this video. It's definitely an awesome way to celebrate FNaF's 8-year anniversary. I'm doing all of these reaction videos to Five Nights at Freddy's and doing some FNaF playthroughs because, number one, I need to do more FNaF playthroughs, and number two, I didn't get a chance to celebrate the 10-year anniversary, but I did get a chance to see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie a while back when it came out. When it was coming out on Peacock, I said, fuck it, might as well do it. So, alright, let's get right into things.
Still scary. The jump scares are terrifying.
Suddenly one day, Scott emails myself and Darko, and he's like, "Boys, you two, you gotta play test FNaF 4 for me." And we absolutely crapped ourselves because it wasn't supposed to be out till like Halloween that year, 2015. So I rushed home, I played it. Darko was on a boat somewhere in the middle of the ocean.
It was released while I was in the middle of the ocean.
On July 23rd, a select group of YouTubers were sent the FNaF 4 demo and given permission to post their gameplay. Then, on the same day, Scott decided to release the full game to the public. Very quickly, people started posting their playthroughs of FNaF 4, trying to get on the FNaF hype train. This was the day we got this amazing gem of a clip from Markiplier.
The first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through.
The game gave us more story than we've ever had before, showing us the journey of a kid who is being psychologically abused by his family, guided by a sentient Fredbear plushie, traumatized by something he saw at Fredbear's family diner, and counting down to his birthday party, where his evil brother and his friends will pick him up and place him into Fredbear's mouth to eventually get his head bitten off.
Was that the bite of 87?
No, Mark.
It was the bite of 83, because obviously on night 3, when you go back into the living room of the house and stand right in front of the TV for exactly 5 seconds, a commercial will start playing from Fredbear and Friends with the year of 1983. Like I said, this game was filled with the most lore we've ever gotten in a FNaF game. Did it make the lore?
Okay, real quick, I just wanted to say, so the difference between the bite of 87 and the bite of 83, excuse me, the bite of 83 was when, and yes, I'm calling him Evan Afton because that is his name. Fight me on that. But when Evan Afton was bit by, you know, Golden Freddy, Fredbear, the Fredbear suit, which the Fredbear animatronic was actually a Springlock suit. It was one of the Springlock suits, like the Spring Bonnie suit or the Spring Trap suit. Spring Bonnie and Spring Freddy were both Springlock suits, so they doubled as both animatronics and as what's it called, and as suits that could be worn. So this is one of the first of, you know, a few or many, however many Springlock failures that happen in the game, or in the games and in the lore. And then the bite of 87 was what we all theorize to be. I know that there's a book that's out right now, but I truly believe Mangle is the one who committed the bite of 87. Jeremy Fitzgerald was the security guard for the night, and then he got moved to the day shift in FNaF 2. And I believe that Mangle bit Jeremy in the frontal lobe, and he ended up surviving. But yeah, so I believe that's truly what the bite of 87 was. It's still to this day. All right, let's get back in it.
Lore of the previous games less confusing? No. Do I think that FNaF 4 told a great story and perfectly laid out the dream theory that I think was the real canon that Scott intended for the series?
Yes.
Yes, but I won't get into that right now. The game ended with an emotional scene of the crying child on his deathbed, with presumably his brother telling him that he's sorry.
I don't know if you can hear me. I can hear. I'm sorry. You're broken.
We are still your friends.
I will put you back together.
This person said to the crying child,
It is
"You're
such.
broken.
That's a sad ending, man.
Those were the final words before you can
Damn you,
faintly
Scott.
hear the heart monitor flatline. And where do you hear those words again? That's right, Glamrock Freddy specifically said to... Oh, wrong video.
And finally, with FNaF 4, the box. Okay?
Oh,
the
man.
box at the end of FNaF 4 is probably the most iconic,
The toy box?
controversial memory that I can think of. The box. That's all I'm going to say. If you know, you know.
Upon beating Nightmare Mode, you're met with this box. After a few seconds, some words show up
It's a
above
toy
the box.
box.
Some things are best left forgotten for now. The box had 2 locks that you could
It's a
actually
toy
click
box.
on, but it did nothing. People tried everything to get the box open with no success. This would become one of the biggest questions in all of FNaF history. what's in the box. FNaF 4 was a really special game that told a solid story from beginning to end, but it also added a lot of questions to the lore that frustrated a lot of fans who wanted more answers. Overall, the game got a positive reception and was added to the ever-growing Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. 3 days after the release of the game, ScottGames.com was updated with the final, "The End, thanks for playing." But if you brighten the image, you could see a small, faint question mark after the end. At the time, it looked like Scott was coming back for round 5. Exactly a week later, on August 2nd, 2015, Scott Games was updated with the final thank you poster featuring all of the animatronics in the series. FNaF, or at least the story of FNaF, seemed to be over. Almost exactly a month after the game's release, Scott Cawthon made a huge post on Steam, officially announcing a Halloween content update for FNaF 4, a secret project he's working on that wasn't FNaF 5, and some clarification about what we will never find out: what's in the box. Scott said, quote, "Now I want to talk about what won't be included, the box. You know, when I released the first game over a year ago, I was amazed at how quickly everyone found every bit of lore and story. Then, the same happened with Part 2. Fans and YouTubers dug in and found everything. Game Theory did an incredible video on Part 2, getting almost everything right. Then Part 3 came out, and once again, the story was uncovered by the community. It seemed that there was nothing I could hide, but then I released Part 4, and somehow, no one, not a single person, found the pieces. The story remains completely hidden. I guess most people assumed that I filled the game with random Easter eggs this time. I didn't. What's in the box?
It's the pieces put together.
But the bigger question is, would the community accept it that way? The fact that the pieces have remained elusive this time strikes me as incredible and special, a fitting conclusion in some ways, and because of that, I've decided that maybe some things are best left forgotten forever. This blew everyone's minds and made everyone more determined than ever to figure out FNaF 4. More on that later. On September 9th, 2015, ScottGames.com was updated once again. The endoskeleton on the right side of the image looked completely different. It almost looked cartoonish. These updates continued almost daily, slowly turning every animatronic in the image into a cute cartoonish version of itself. This was extremely confusing considering the community had no idea what Scott had planned. A few days into these updates, on September 15th, Scott took to Steam to officially announce FNaF World, an RPG game where you could choose from a bunch of beloved FNaF characters to fight against enemies. He assured people that this was not a horror game, but a fun type of game that he's been wanting to make for a while now. He also made it very clear that there would not be a FNaF 5, saying, "It's very important for me to say again that there will not be a Five Nights at Freddy's 5. The story..."
The lie detector test determined that that was a lie.
The story is complete, and the Halloween update and new game will not add to it. In the post, he stated that he called the new FNaF World animatronics the adventure characters, and that it would be unlikely that a demo for FNaF World would be ready by Halloween since the game was still in early development. Even though Scott said there wasn't going to be a FNaF 5, people were still hyped. We still had FNaF World and the FNaF 4 Halloween update to look forward to. Little did they know that one of the most important days in the history of FNaF was soon to be upon them. It was a warm September night. The forecast was cloudy with a 30% chance. September 18th, 2015, a day that would soon be written into every history book known to man. This was the day MatPat planned his big FNaF Theory live stream with Dawko, Razbowski, Ryan, and other Ryan from 8-Bit Gaming.
Unfortunately, the stream kept
was
crashing.
meant to be a big collaboration with all of the biggest FNaF YouTubers in order to try and figure out the lore. The stream was a major success, but there was one huge problem. The stream kept crashing. The stream crashed literally 2 or 3 times before they finally got a stable connection. But while the stream was crashing, one person was watching it all go down. Scott Cawthon.
Dawko just tweeted out 2 minutes ago that Scott commented on Steam 11 minutes ago.
Yeah.
They were getting too close to the truth.
Oh, we were getting too close to the truth, according to Scott. Scott, we're still fighting, man. We're fighting back today.
Scott saw an opportunity at this point, and he took it. With the internet issues MatPat was having, they weren't able to have the original panel on screen, and while they were gone, ScottGames.com updated for a brief moment.
In the FNaF 4 minigame. Okay, we're talking about the FNaF...
Like Atari Graphics toy, like next to the headless Foxy, there's a beakless Chica.
Is there a beakless Chica in...
Shortly after this, Dawko arrived saying that Scott actually emailed him the exact same message put on Scott Games. A few minutes later, Scott emailed Dawko with another question.
Scott's done another question. Oh god, he said, what he's seeing in shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child. Silence.
It was after this question that they started putting the pieces together. Maybe FNaF 2 never actually happened. Maybe all of these games were just nightmares of a crying child. The final hint Scott gave them was 4 words. 4 games, 1 story. We kind of assumed it was, but it was good to know that there's not multiple stories going on at the same time in this franchise. That would be. This live stream was a huge moment for the community and honestly for figuring out the lore of these 4 games. Those clues led to MattPat's video he released that December, where I believe he was correct in his theory about some of, if not all of these games being
Dream
just
Theory
a dream.
was
But
supposed
as Scott
to be
said,
the actual
would the
ending.
community accept it that way? Scott updated his announcement post for FNaF World on September 21st, 2015, stating that all of the FNaF World characters have been added to ScottGames.com. Not only that, but we got a rough release date coming 2016. Seriously. Obviously poking fun at the fact that Scott hasn't really been the best with release dates. A few days after the FNaF World teasers were finished, Scott created FNAFWorld.com, a dedicated website for FNaF World teasers. Once that website was created, ScottGames.com became dedicated to teasing FNaF 4 Halloween Edition. There were 5 total teasers for the game: Jacko Bonnie, Nightmare Balloon Boy, Nightmare Ione, and Jacko Chica. One interesting thing to point out about the Nightmare Ione teaser is that when you saved the image, it was titled "Don't Wake the Baby." This was Scott referencing Markiplier's FNaF 2 playthrough, where he repeated that phrase while trying to avoid the puppet jump scare. On October 28th, 2015, FNAFWorld.com was updated, and let's just say the community was confused. If you logged onto FNAFWorld.com, you would be met with text saying, and I quote, "I hex haxerd scoot site and well released to full version on FNaF World tonight at exactly 6 p.m. CST. Don't try to stop me. Lols hacks." Then it was updated again not too long after, and I quote, "I mean it. I'm going to release it tonight at 6 p.m. CST. Take me seriously. You'll be sorry. I will post the link right here. Lols hacks." I think most of the community was aware that this was Scott trolling, since this seemed to be a pattern with Scott based on the FNaF 3 troll game. But there was a good amount of people online expressing concern that FNAFWorld.com might have actually been hacked. One final message appeared on FNAFWorld.com right when Lols Hacks said it would. The message read, "I has released it, Lols Hacks. Download FNaF World," with a hyperlink to download the game. And once you downloaded the game, this is what you saw.
Let's get that. Oh, by the way, thank you for your service for all those that are in the military and out of the military.
Whoa, this music!
The game was once again a reskin of one of Scott's older games, Fighter Mage Bard. The community actually didn't mind this troll game and seemed to have a lot of fun with it. On October 30th, 2015, FNaF 4 Halloween Edition was released, one day before its scheduled release. Scott even took to Steam to joke about how we should be proud of him for releasing it this close to the actual release date. Although people were hoping for some answers about the lore and maybe an opening of the box, none of that happened. But it was still a very fun update to an already great game. The new designs were awesome, and it was so cool to see Nightmare Ione, Nightmare BB, and Nightmare Mangle added to the mix. On the same day as the release of FNaF 4 Halloween Edition, Scott posted the teaser trailer for FNaF World on his YouTube channel. The beginning of the trailer was not like anything we were expecting. It looked like a regular FNaF trailer until about 34 seconds in. The trailer featured all of the characters we saw in Scott Games grouped into teams of 4, battling obscure enemies we've never seen before. After listing all of the characters we'd see in the game, we saw possibly the cutest thing ever, Adventure Mangle playing with a paddle. It ended with a release date of coming soon. The trailer had a mixed reaction.
Someone's like, "That's terrifying."
Some criticized the animation style and graphics, while others were curious why this game was being made in the first place. But overall, I would say a majority of the community loved the trailer and was looking forward to the new game. The game was looking to be a lighthearted entry to the series, but the lightheartedness did not last for long. On November 2nd, 2015, we got possibly the creepiest FNaF teaser to this day. When you went on ScottGames.com, it looked like there was nothing there. But when you brightened the dark image, what you saw was what appeared to be Mangle hanging himself with the words,
"See what
"Look
you've
what
all
you've
done."
all done." The community was shocked by this teaser, to say the least. A lot of people were concerned about Scott's well-being after this teaser. Within an hour, the teaser was gone off of FNAFWorld.com, and we still to this day have no idea how it connects to FNaF World. Scott Games then remained dark for nearly a month. Scott finally came back on November 29th with a new teaser. This teaser featured a weird version of Balloon Boy's head with the words "Madness takes many forms" at the bottom. It seemed like Scott wanted to show us that there was going to be a dark side to FNaF World, but initially maybe went too far. This teaser seemed to keep the same promise with a little course correction on exactly how dark he wanted to go. On December 11th, 2015, ScottGames.com updated with a teaser for the first ever FNaF book. Initially, it was titled Five Nights at Freddy's The Untold Story, but was later changed to The Silver Eyes and was given a release date of December 22nd, 2015. Of course, in true Scott Cawthon fashion, it was released 5 days early on December 17th, 2015. Shortly after the book was released, some people in the community were upset that the book did not directly align with the games. People thought that maybe this book would help solve some of the lore from the games, but Scott had different intentions. 3 days later, Scott announced that the FNaF books overall weren't directly canon to the official FNaF games. Basically, the book was a part of the FNaF multiverse, the same characters, same locations, but different turn of events. For the next month, we didn't really get much. On December 4th, we got a Merry Christmas FNaF World teaser, and then on New Year's Day 2016, we got an update from Scott on the progress of FNaF World, saying that he's still working hard and, quote, it's becoming a bigger game than I'd first planned it to be, but that's a good thing. On January 8th, 2016, we got a second trailer for FNaF World that was only posted on IndieDB. The trailer was basically a copy of the first one, but it just added new gameplay shots. On January 12th, 2016, Scott took to Steam to give us an official release date for FNaF World. The game would be hitting Steam on February 19th, followed by the mobile ports in the following weeks. He also announced that he and his wife had just had a baby boy. Quote, in other news, I had a new addition to my family today, a baby boy. I'm typing this from the hospital now, as a matter of fact, so obviously that has still kept me a little busy as well. Scott later updated the release date to the weekend of January 23rd to 24th, stating, I won't make it to February 19th. Clear your schedules for this weekend, winky face. Then he said on January 21st, the game will release tomorrow, guys, relax. Then again, I've never been good with release dates. And he did exactly not that. He released the game that day, on January 21st.
Love you, Scott.
The game quickly started getting...
So, I still have to play FNaF World. I know they have a mobile port version of it, and I am gonna download it eventually and play it, because I really, really want to try it.
Getting mixed reviews, with a lot of people finding bugs and noticing missing features that they thought would be there. People also didn't like that the overworld was in 2D and not 3D like the trailers insinuated. The game held an ironic 87% on Steam, which was overall very good,
not bad.
but there were a lot of negative reviews. Scott reacted very quickly to the mixed reactions, creating a post on Steam titled To the Community. In the post, he talks about how people have accused him of releasing his games too early in the past, mentioning that he never felt he did that until now. He apologized for the state of FNaF World and promised to keep updating the game to turn it into what he envisioned. 3 days later, Scott announced that he was taking FNaF World off of Steam despite its 87% rating. He said that he's working on a new version of the game with a fully 3D world and all of the features he promised in the past. This time, the game would be released for free on GameJolt. This new version of the game would soon be released on February 8th, 2016 to GameJolt, just as promised. The game had a fully 3D world and even featured some new content, including a man sitting at a desk telling us to go away. On February 18th, 2016, FNAFWorld.com and ScottGames.com updated with new teasers. The FNAFWorld.com teaser announced a FNaF World Update 2, while ScottGames.com had lines. No words, nothing when you brighten the image, just 17 lines all in a row. Most of the community thought it was some sort of timeline. Some thought it was related to the FNaF movie, and some thought maybe, just maybe, we'd be getting FNaF 5.
And they were right.
Later, on February 26, one of the lines changed into the letter I, with an end scene above the lines to the left when the image was brightened. Still, no one had any idea what this meant. Obviously, it was trying to spell something out, but what? 2 weeks later, the lines were updated again. Another I with an A in the top right when brightened. Once again, it was spelling out something, but nobody could figure it out with so little letters. 11 days later, an O was added. 2 weeks after that, another O was added along with the word never at the bottom when brightened. The community was collectively confused until April 23rd, 2016, when the first official teaser for FNAF's sister location was posted. The teaser featured a brand new animatronic with the words, "There was never just one" at the bottom. No one had any idea who this new animatronic was. All they knew was that it looked like a clown animatronic. This game looked like it was going to be a clean slate for FNAF, with new characters and a new location, and the community couldn't be more excited. On May 3rd, 2016, the release date for FNaF World Update 2 was announced on FNAFWorld.com. The update was set to release on May 13th, 2016, and fans were hyped since that was only 10 days away. To everyone's surprise, the update actually came out on its set release date. The new update featured 8 new party members, 9 minigames, 2 new areas, a new ending, new abilities, and 3 enemies. The community loved this new update. The new minigames were fun, annoying, and creepy all at the same time. This was when we first met Chica's Magic Rainbow, Foxy.exe, and this.
You won't get tired. Oh no, I love your voice. Oh, no, that's not my editing, guys. I swear. It sounds like something I would do.
But one of the biggest parts of the update came from the man sitting at the desk that I mentioned earlier. After beating the main boss, we got to hear the voice of a new animatronic named Baby, which was presumed to be the animatronic currently on ScottGames.com.
The show will begin momentarily.
On May 11th, some of the mysteries about Sister Location were no longer mysteries. Magicraft Cat on Reddit found what seemed to be the names of all of the new characters that were going to be in Sister Location. The names were found under Scott's name on copyright.gov. When you copyright something, most of the time it becomes public information. So when Scott went to copyright his new characters, it wouldn't be long until fans found them. And they did. The community was disappointed and worried about the characters being leaked, but there was one person who wasn't. Scott Cawthon. Scott replied to the Reddit post with the leaks saying, "No worries guys, the characters needed to be copyrighted and I knew this would get out. Have fun speculating." On May 15th, someone asked Scott on Steam if there would be voice acting in Sister Location. 5 days later, on May 16, 2016, we got a new Sister Location teaser and our first good look at the newest animatronic, Baby. The teaser had text at the bottom that read, "Everyone please stay in your seats." I remember one of the big things about this teaser is that people thought they could see the reflection of Springtrap in Baby's nose, and I kind of still believe that to be the case. The FNaF hype was officially back. We were getting FNaF 5 with new characters, a new location, and according to Scott on Steam, the game would also feature full voice acting. FNaF was not going anywhere anytime soon. On May 21st, 2016, the Sister Location trailer hit YouTube and it was unlike anything we were ever expecting. The trailer had an extremely futuristic vibe to it and the animatronics' faces moved. The trailer showed us some glimpses of gameplay while you could hear "Don't Hold It Against Us" in the background. Towards the end of the trailer, we got the amazing shot of all four of the new animatronics performing together, and then it ended with a baby jump scare that we never actually got to see in the final game. The trailer blew everyone away.
The funny thing is, it wasn't actually, like, even though it was a jump scare in the trailer, it was actually showing us what happens when one of the animatronics in Sister Location gets a controlled shock. Little known fact.
People with a lot of questions. How does this fit into the lore? When does this game take place? Where does this game take place? Is it going to be free roam? What's the last 4 digits of your social security number? 1 month after the trailer on June 17th, 2016, we got a new teaser on ScottGames.com. This time it featured a torn apart animatronic with a clown-like mask. This is an animatronic we have never seen before, and now that the names of the new characters were leaked, it was a guessing game for what its name was. It was either called Ennard, Bidybab, or Mini Rena, since those were the ones we haven't seen yet. Most people were speculating that this was Ennard based on the similarities of the words innard and Ennard. There was text at the bottom of the teaser that said, "There's a little of me in every body," with the space between every and body. In the source code, sometime around this image's release, we found what seemed to be a schedule for all of the animatronics, insinuating that these animatronics didn't belong to one single pizzeria, but were being rented out by people through this facility. We also found a short list of people and companies renting out these animatronics, one of them being named Chica's Party World. Chica's Party World is a place we have yet to see in the franchise and remains a mystery to this day. We also saw text that seemed to read Afton Robotics, which is a direct reference to the first FNaF book where the stand-in for Purple Guy was named William Afton. Was Scott really about to take a page out of his own book? On June 23rd, 2016, Scott announced that he had just signed a 3-book deal with Scholastic, one of the biggest publishers on the planet. Spoiler alert, Scholastic would go on to publish over 20 FNaF books and counting. I guess the first 3 ended up doing pretty well. Over 2 weeks later, on July 9th, 2016, we got another teaser on ScottGames.com. The Minions. I mean the Bidybabs. One of the common themes with the Sister Location teasers was that no one knew what the heck was going on. With all of the other teasers for past games, you were able to theorize more about the game, but these were so new that it was hard to find something to say about them. But these teasers were an amazing showcase of all the new characters we'd be seeing in the game, and Scott really did do a good job with them. Less than 2 weeks later, on July 21st, we got this teaser with the text, "Get back on your stage now." The teaser had a panel at the center with 2 buttons, one to turn on the lights and the other to shock the animatronics into getting them back on stage, although the community didn't know that at the time. Some people speculated that the red button was going to regenerate or power up the animatronics, but we all know how that turned out.
Let's encourage Baby to cheer up with a controlled shock.
When the image was brightened, you could see tiny dancing ballerinas on stage,
you could see something in the background
correctly identified as the Mini Renas. August 1st, 2016 was the day that the Steam page for Sister Location went live with brand new gameplay screenshots and a description of the game. Welcome to Circus Baby's Pizza World, where family fun and interactivity go beyond anything you've seen at those other pizza places. With cutting-edge animatronic entertainers that will knock your kids' socks off, as well as customized pizza catering, no party is complete without Circus Baby and the gang. Now hiring late-night technician must enjoy enjoy cramped spaces and be comfortable around active machinery, not responsible for death or dismemberment. Obviously, we were not going to be the people enjoying our birthday parties with Circus Baby. We were going to be the late night technician, probably getting way underpaid for all the horrors that he was about to witness. Today is August 8th, 2016, and it's the 2-year anniversary of FNaF. Scott celebrated the anniversary by releasing 7 new images to ScottGames.com. This time, it was behind-the-scenes images from FNaF 1 and FNaF 3. These images were such a treat for the community since Scott has never really shared something like this ever before. But a week later, another big sister location leak appeared on Reddit. On August 15th, people found what seemed to be a full list of voice actors and some actual audio clips from the game. These were some pretty big leaks, but Scott took the last leaks really well, so surely he'd be taking these ones pretty canceled due to leaks. On August 16th, the community collectively panicked until they brightened the image. If you brighten the image, you could see a ton of text talking about how there was a Circus Baby's Pizza World restaurant for a short period of time, but it was shut down due to gas leaks. This confirmed that the Funtime animatronics actually came from a restaurant and were being repurposed for the rental company. This also confirmed that something fishy happened at Circus Baby's Pizza World since it closed way too soon, and for a reason like gas leaks that doesn't really warrant permanent closure. Scott collectively freaked everyone out for about 5 whole minutes since he was obviously messing around with the fact that there were leaks for his game a day prior. 11 days later, on August 27th, 2016, we got the official release date for Sister Location on ScottGames.com. The new teaser featured Ender's mask with When Brightened Up, the release date of October 7th, 2016. This teaser was replaced very shortly after with this one, showing the release date more clearly. But another big reveal lied within the source code of ScottGames.com. In the source code, there were 2 strings of characters. If you put them together and then pasted them into the URL of Scott Games, you would be directed to the map for Sister Location. And then, if you brighten this secret image, you could see 2 secret rooms above and below the Funtime Auditorium. Scott really made us dig for this one. After these new teasers, ScottGames.com wasn't updated for about a month. On September 24th, 2016, Ennard went missing. This is still one of the strangest teasers we've gotten on ScottGames.com. My guess is that Scott wanted to remind people that the game was still coming out, but didn't have time to create a new teaser, but the real reason remains a mystery. This next moment...
See, I truly believe that the real reason why Ennard went missing is because it's a teaser of what happened. It's spoilers ahead, so if you want to skip the spoilers, just click a few things ahead. Move the time ahead a little bit by a minute or 2. But I truly believe the reason why Ennard went missing is because it's a reflection of what happens in the end of Sister Location when you get the true ending, which is where you are lured into the scooping room and you get scooped by the machine that was created, but it's also a remnant injector, so it injects Michael with remnant. So Ennard disappears, and then he exits Michael's body, and Michael is brought back to life because of the injected remnant. Spoiler-free part right here. Well, maybe spoiler-free part, but yeah.
Is one of my all-time favorite moments in the whole entire FNaF history, so please buckle up. It was October 4th, 2016, 3 days before Sister Location's set release. An unexpected post from Scott Cawthon hit Steam.
Hey guys, I wanted to let everyone know what I've decided, and it's just a warning. A lot of you aren't going to be happy about it, but please try to understand. Ever since I started making games, I wanted to be a world builder. I never wanted to make gimmicky games or things that didn't mean something. I wanted to create experiences that would really have an impact on people. I feel like I got to do that with the first few games, but somehow I feel like I let myself get too dark with this one. Things went sideways, and I look at this game now and I'm unsure of how it will affect people. So then what am I supposed to do? Release something that offends me just to satisfy those who want to play it? Or do I take the time and effort to really craft something that everyone can enjoy? The answer is obvious to me, but I think I have the solution. This is the part most of you won't like. I'm going to release the mature version of the game by itself in sections, not as part of the timeline, not as part of the lore.
We'll pick it apart probably. It's probably
and not as part of the story, but just because I promised that I would. I promised a game, and I don't want to be one of those developers who endlessly delays their game's release. I'm going to release the game in chapters, however, not the whole game at once, since it puts a strain on the servers over at GameJoy.
It actually looked like Scott Cawthon was concerned about how dark...
See, at this point, it definitely could have been legit. Like, I definitely would have thought that it was legit, but because Scott has a history of trolling people, We all know what happened.
He made Sister Location. He even went so far as to flag the game that he posted on GameJolt as mature, prompting you to click continue before you can see the game page. A lot of people in the community weren't buying it because of Scott's trolling history, but one of the best moments in the history of FNaF comes from 2 people who did buy it.
So, I mean, so this is legit.
Okay.
Like, this came from Scott on Steam.
Let's do it.
This is from his official account, so here it is.
This is the disclaimer.
Yeah, this might be a mature stream.
This might be a really mature stream. We just have no idea.
What
Literally,
we're getting into.
Jason has not previewed it.
I'm digging the music.
Yeah, let's do this, man.
And legitimately, I've been excited about Sister Location.
I could definitely see that being the case with how mature, how the music is. Like, I would have even fell for it.
Sister Location. The real version won't be coming out for another 2 months. So here it is. This is a preview of it.
Okay, so the new. Yeah, cool.
Wait,
all right.
Are you kidding me? Are you effing kidding me?
Oh, it was a troll?
Are you
was a troll the whole time?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, we got trolled.
Are you kidding me?
This is the equivalent of getting rickrolled on the
internet.
Are
you kidding?
They were so good.
Damn it!
The chat warned us.
Damn it!
They did such a good job. I'm so proud of whoever this troll is. They did like so amazing.
No, this is Scott. This is Scott. You're proud of effing Scott Coffin. Damn it!
That is one of my favorite clips in the history of FNaF, but jokes aside, it really did show how much MatPat cared about the games and was so excited for the new game to come out.
Alright, so I am going to have to stop the video right here. We will pick up with part 4 of the entire history of FNaF. So thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family if you think it's appropriate. And if it's not appropriate, share with your friends and the entire internet. I don't know. I try to keep things kind of friendly a little bit on here. Maybe not. I'm trying to fix some things. But thank you all for watching. My name is Referee Rob Jackson. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye, everybody, and I will see you later.